Diane, I missed you at the Christmas luncheon. I was like, where is she? Good to see you. I wanted to share a couple things with you all today. Let me make sure. Oh yeah, we're recording. Okay, perfect. I wanted to share a few things with you all that I actually go through and do at the end of every year that sets up the next year for success. And there are one of these things is actually new this year, and I'm excited to share it with you all. I got it from my John Maxwell High Capacity Leadership Group, and it's their questions. So I'm going to give you a couple things that I do, and then I'm going to share my screen and go over two different sets of questions with you. And I'll drop the PDFs in the chat when we're finished, and then we can also send them out for anybody that's watching this later. You can just email me and get it. But so a couple things. Well, first, let me back up. Who is ready for Christmas? Because I'm totally not. Is anybody? Phil? Okay. 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 That makes me feel a lot better. I'm like, I have a lot to do still. So I'm working through tomorrow afternoon, and then I'm gonna call it quits through until after the first of the year because I have so much to do. So every single year, the last week of the year, really after, yes, Emily, that's me drowning in Christmas. I'm actually would be, no, I would actually be embarrassed to show you my upstairs right now. Like I just keep throwing boxes up there, like box after box after box after box. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to dig my way through all of this stuff. Oh, here comes Amanda Howard. Okay. So at the end of every year, Adam and I go through a whole day where we plan and prep for the following year. And I want to tell you a couple of things that we do. And then I'll go through these questions because going through these questions are things that we do as part of that. Can you guys hear him barking? Oh, good. Okay, great. Because it is so loud. Um, so the very first thing that we do, and you all, let me grab this and show you. If you don't have one, you should get one. If you are in our offices, we have them for you. But your year-end calendar, a paper calendar, that's a 30-day at a glance. I learned this years ago. I know we are all digital and in a digital world, and everything still goes in my phone calendar. But any successful, high achieving business person or entrepreneur that I have met, they all use a 30-day at a glance paper calendar. John Maxwell, Gary Keller, Linda McKissick, you name it, and they all do. And so the very first thing that we do is we get our whole next year 2026 calendar, and we sit down and we plug in the things that are like non-negotiable. So the times that we are going to be at tennis tournaments, the times that we are going to go on vacations, birthday trips. Adam and I do like a once a quarter, just us two on a weekend somewhere. That's like a non-negotiable that we set a couple of years ago. So we go ahead and put those like tentatively. By the way, everything is in pencil because life changes, but at least you're getting it on there. So you're setting up any anniversary trips, any birthdays, any of the your family reunion convention is in here. Mega camp is already in mine. All the things, right? Like you just go ahead and get them in your calendar and set as much as you possibly can for next year. Anything that you know that you really want to do should go in there. The second thing that we do is we really sit down, and I gave you these if you went to Business Planning Clinic. And if not, we have a one pager that we can probably find and send to you guys somewhere. I might be able to find it on my computer right now. But we go through and we review our goals. So we look at what goals do we want to set in our wealth space, in our spiritual space, in our business space, in our marriage, in our family, in our giving and tithing and community, like all of that, all of those kind of lists. We really sit down together. I mean, we take pretty much a whole day and do this. We do it at the pool in Naples, if the weather is permitting. Hopefully it will be this year. But we really we get intentional and we really sit down and go through it. So we list all the goals that we want to achieve, and they're not like all the same. I mean, I have some obviously that are different than what he has, but then we have some that we do together. And so we list out all of our goals and we know those. And then the last thing that we do, and this is probably the most time consuming, but definitely the most fruitful if you do it, we make our vision boards for the year. And as you can see, probably like mine for this year is on my desktop. Don't judge my desktop, but it's in the middle of my desktop. It's on my phone. It's my screensaver on my phone. It's printed out and laminated in my calendar right here. I have another copy. It's everywhere, right? And there really is something to putting out your goals and dreams and desires and things you want to accomplish on something and then looking at it every day. I'm sure there's ChatGPT can tell us all the stats behind it, I'm sure, but just speaking from experience for the last 8 or 9 years that I've been doing that, um, it works. I promise. It really, really works. I know some of you already do it. And even if you don't want to get as OCD as mine is, because I'm a very visual person and I love a good Canva activity. At least just write them down and and get it on some sort of a document where you can have it, save it as a picture, take a picture of it if you write it, type it out, whatever, just anything that you can do to actually have it visually in front of you all the time. So we do that, and we have, things on there from we choose our word of the year. That's usually a big thing, but we have things on there from trips we want to take to a number of rental properties that we want to own or that we want to buy next year to things we do with our businesses individually. Some things move on and off every year, and other things stay on until they knock them off. Like this year, actually, for one, I've had on mine for the last 4 years to write a book, and this year it's coming off the list. Thank goodness. Yes. Well, actually, it's not coming off till I hit the bestseller. I really want to hit the bestseller in February, then it's coming off. But that was something that kind of stayed on until I knocked it out. But the reason why I love this is because if you don't do this, you might have a goal or you might have something that you want to achieve, and then you forget about it. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I really wanted to do that. But life got busy and all the things happened, right? Like I even have on here a certain number of times a year that I want to see my cousin who lives far away, or our girls trip that we do every year. Just, we wanted to remodel our bathrooms this year. Like things that just, you think about in all aspects. But doing that is really, really, really important. So those are really the three things we do. We do our calendar, we look at our goals, and then we set our vision boards. Now, what I want to share with you are two different sets of questions, and I'll give you these, but I promise you there is so much power in time blocking and actually whether you do them by yourself, whether you do them with your team or your spouse or whoever. I highly encourage you to really make time over the holidays to work through these questions. So the first one are the 9 questions to ask yourself for year in review by John Maxwell. John has taught us these as long as I've been mentored by John. And they're spot on. Like they seem simple, but they really are great questions. So the first one, you're assessing your past year. Oh, I forgot to tell you one other thing we do. When we plan our calendar, so when we do our calendaring for next year, we have our previous year's calendar and we go through and we see like what did we do, or I'll tell you what I do. I look and say, okay, who did I spend time with that gave me a lot of energy? Or like, where did I speak or go or do something that drained me? And I'm definitely not going to say yes to them next year if they ask. Like, I know that sounds kind of rude, but you know what I mean? We go through last year and say, okay, or we loved going to New York during Christmas. So we definitely want to go back next year. Like, we kind of go through and say, okay, that's what we did this year that was awesome, that we'd love to do again. Or this is where we spent time that we shouldn't have spent time. And then we go into these questions. So the first one is what made me proud this year? And the reason why John says to start with this question is really because we tend to, especially, oh, yes, Steve, I just saw your question. I need to add that to my vision board. Oh my gosh. Heather said she does. Yes, that is 100% still on my list. I can't believe I don't have her on my vision board, Steve. You just added my 2026 vision board. Yes. And she's not getting any younger, so I need to make that happen sooner than later. Um, but the reason why he says what made me proud is because we move so fast as high achievers that he really wants you to start with slowing down and saying, okay, what did I really accomplish this year that I'm proud of? Because even if you had an off year, which I know almost all of you on the call, and I know many of y'all had your best years or amazing years. But what really made you proud? The second is what did you learn? And this is an important question because if you are struggling to put something down there, that should be an aha for you, right? Because earners are learners, I always say. And if you are not growing, then you're going backwards. So you should be, obviously, I know all of you love to learn, but you should be figuring out things that you learned last year. Number three is who did I lead? Whether that's your family, whether that's your team, whether that's your kids, a peer, who did you lead? And the reason why this one is important is because we all are leading people that sometimes we just don't even think about. And it's a good reflection question to go back and say, who did I lead? And then you could even think about, okay, do I need to continue on leading those people or that person? Is there someone different that I think can lead this year? Or how do I need to grow my leadership? Number four is what held me back. And this one's, to be transparent, this one's always a little bit hard for me. I always have to really think through this one. And I think sometimes what holds us back is our distractions or our time that we aren't, the way that we spend our time. There's just a lot of things on that one, so something to think about. And then you switched gears to reflecting on the present, okay? And this is where the rubber really meets the road. And hopefully everyone is in a good place with number five. But do I still love what I do? And there have been several times where I've been doing, in different roles or different businesses or different things, and I've asked this, and I'm like, no. The answer is no. Um, and then there are other times where I'm like, yes, oh my gosh, absolutely. This, like, I couldn't, like, one for me being an OP, of course, I love it. I mean, I love getting to do that. So it's really thinking about, okay, what do you still love what you do? And then that's the present, but then you're really starting to plan for the coming year. And the sixth question is, am I willing to pay the price again this year? This is a big one. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. And Linda McKissick and I talk about this all the time. John has a lesson that he does called trade-offs. And I think I actually might have done a Zoom on that, or we did a podcast episode on it here recently. If you haven't listened to it, you should. It's all of our notes from John's lesson on being a one percenter. And what he says is anytime you're going to move to the next level in your health, in your wealth, in your business, in your leadership, whatever that looks like, there's a price that you have to pay, right? I mean, there's a trade-off that you're going to have to give up. And so you really have to assess, are you willing to pay the price again this year? For those of you that are in like real build mode, the price might be that you aren't getting as much time with your family next year or this year, or you're staying working. Oh, thank you, Heather. Heather put the trade-offs podcast episode in the chat. You can watch or listen to that later. But just, are you willing to pay the price again? And then number seven is planning for the coming year, and that's what's the most important thing right now. And I don't know why my little thing's doing a thumbs up, but it liked something that I said. What's the most important thing right now for you? And I would say think business, but also think personal on this one. Is it your health? I mean, quite frankly, it is one of the most important things for you and next year need to be your health. Is it that you need to make more money? Is it that you have made a bunch of money and now you need some time back? You need some leverage. You need to hire a who? Like, what is the most important thing? And then what do you need to change? What is it that you really need to change? I know Heather's going to laugh when I say this, but this year, as many of y'all know this, that she wanted my word of the year to be no. And it wasn't. It was the opposite, Heather. It was multiply. However, I did say no to some things. And last year I got rid of a market center. I said no to there were some other things. I said no to some coaching clients and really only kept just like a handful this year. There was just a couple things that I really needed to change and say no to because I knew I had some other bigger things like the book, or like really focusing on my team leaders this year, pouring into them, things like that. So what is it that you need to change? And then the last question I hit on earlier, but really spend time. Some of you all really need to think about this, but what is your word for the year? And as Gary Keller would say and teaches us, and how committed are you to that word? So what is your word? And then how committed are you to that word of the year? So those are the first nine. And then I'm going to give you one more set because questions is one of the absolute best ways that you can reflect and plan to set yourself up for a great year. I just put that PDF in the chat too. So if you want to grab that, you might print it out. You can write it down. I know you guys were doing so great and writing down all the questions. So then the next one is a mentor of mine, Chad Johnson, who also is in the Maxwell. He's worked for John for decades. I don't know, a long time. He shares this list of 15 questions. And again, I'll drop these in the chat so you don't necessarily have to write all of them down. But I want to go over them with you because I promise you all, if you were to take 2 or 3 hours and go through those nine and go through these 15, you are 100% setting yourself up for success next year. So many people fly through the end of the year and into the beginning of the year, and they don't do this, and then they do what I would call drift, which I talk about this in my new book, but they aren't intentional, right? And they drift through the next year, and then you wake up and you're like, holy crap, it's the fall and this year is gone. We've all done it, right? So these are key questions to get in touch with your desires. And the reason why this is extremely important, in my opinion, is because all of us have desires, but sometimes we just don't take time to actually plan them into our year. So the first one is, and these first are kind of deep. The first four, like, what do you really want for your life? And depending on your age, some of us might be thinking of that more than others, but what do you really want for your life? What do you really want for your marriage? Those of you that are married, like, really, what do you really want? Be very, very specific. I always say this jokingly, but really I mean it. If you didn't get your marriage right the first time, this, like me, the second time, like, you are very intentional with what you want in a marriage. And so, like, what do you really want that to look like and come out of? Your mission, your career, what do you really want for your career? What do what do you want to be known for? What do you want your career to look like next year? What do you really want for your net worth, and or John always says your stuff. So some of us may have more stuff than others. My house right now at Christmas has a lot of stuff around it. But what do you really want your net worth to look like? What kind of man or woman do you want to be? Write out the adjectives that describe that person. And some of those, this is a good one. I've done this many times before. And some of those, I'm like, okay, I am generous. Like, that is an adjective that I want. And then there are others that I write down that I still have a lot of work to do. But it's good to just get them out because that's the kind of person that you want to be, right? And when you start to put pen to paper, you live that out. When you die, what would you hope that they say about you at your funeral? A little bit of a weird one, but still, I mean, great question to answer, right? I mean, what would you want them to say? The next one is, what would you want your wife or husband or best friend to say? What would you want your son to say? What would you want your daughter to say? These are really, really good, deep questions, but they get you thinking of, okay, if that's what you would want those people to say, right now, would they say those things? And I'm sure for many of you, the answer is yes, but if not, I mean, that's okay. We all have room for improvement. What would you want your friends to say? What would you want God to say when he welcomes you into eternity? What are you going to believe God for this year? Like miracle or whatever faith you believe in. But like right now, I know exactly what I would write down. I have a friend in Charleston who's been battling breast cancer real bad this year. And I'm like 100% believing for a miracle for her. I write it down every single morning because I'm really believing in it. But what do you want in your heart and your life? What do you desire in you becoming a true, alive, authentic, brave, powerful person in your marriage so it becomes more intimate, more alive, more passionate, more powerful? And then the last two are kind of legacy ones, but for enlarging your view, this group is like a faith group. So this may or may not mean anything to you, but no big deal if it doesn't. For enlarging your view of and participating your part in the kingdom of God or the larger story, a bigger story, and then your legacy story. Like, what do you want to do? I always think of Linda and Jim McKissick when I read this last one because I love they've done this for several years. But I remember the first year they did it, Linda said that a legacy, when she was answering these questions one year, she said, a big part of her legacy was going to be her grandkids. And she just really, really, really wanted to pour into her grandkids. She wanted to like teach them everything that she could. She wanted them to know everything that they could possibly know. And so they started, I don't remember how many years ago it was, Heather, but Heather, you might remember because we got them t-shirts for the first one. But they started this thing called Mimi and Pop Pop Camp. And so every single year, Linda and Jim do like a 2 or 3 day camp and all their grandkids come like they have older ones and then they have young ones, and so they have all of them come and they have different activities lined up, but they teach them something about wealth. This year she told me a sneak peek of what they're doing, well, next year in 2026 they're doing a health focus, and so Linda's bringing someone in to teach them about healthy eating because she said every time I see them all they're doing is eating junk food and she's like, I'm having a health nutritionist come in to teach them about healthy eating, and then she's having a healthy chef come in to teach them how to make 2 or 3 healthy meals themselves. Like if they were home alone, like what would be something that they could make healthy besides just ordering a pizza or something like that. But I love that because I mean, can you imagine like how cool that is when they get older and they remember Linda and Jim's Mimi and Pop Pop Camp every single summer and the impact that it made on them? Like that's leaving a legacy. That's a larger story. Like that's something that um Linda is going to feel and Jim are going to feel great about, but more than anything, their grandkids, that's going to be their legacy for their grandkids, all the things that they've taught them. So I will drop those questions in there. Any questions on the questions, any thoughts, comments, feedback that you all have? Little shorter one today, but it's more of just you guys actually taking these and working through them. And also, by the way, if you're a person who struggles to like journal or to write these things, just start because once you start, like then things start to flow and you'll get through the rest. Like you'll keep going. Uh yes, I love the idea to do it with your husband. Yeah, totally, Emily. You all would be great at that. It's definitely more, and especially like you all are like us, like you have some things that probably you could do together, but he has his job and you have your job, so it's not identical things, but it's just nice to say, okay, these are the things that we actually want to do together and set goals together, and then here's our individual ones too. I think that's super healthy. Good. You guys like them? Perfect. Okay. Well, oh wait, before we go, Heather, do we have the link for the vision board by any chance we could put in the chat just in case anyone wants to do that? Um, we might, let's see, one sec. Um, I'll tell you guys too, another thing, real quick before we go, if not, we can email that out to you too. But don't forget about doing this with your kids too, by the way. Like it's great to do it with your partner. Oh, yep. See, Heather's like miracle worker. There you go. There's the link to the vision board. If any of you are Canva happy and want to get in and really make one, do it. I'd love to see yours, by the way. If you do make one and you're willing to share it, please send it. Yes. And sometimes it's finicky. So, yeah, please let us know if you have any trouble with it. You have to like make a copy and stuff, but don't forget about doing some of this stuff with your kids too. It's fun, or your grandkids, whoever you have. But would love to hear what you all come up with and any of your goals, your vision boards, etc. So share them with me, let me know, and I hope you guys make the effort to time block to do this. Don't try, just knock it out, get it on your calendar and answer some of them, and you'll be set up for next year for success. Sound good? Awesome. Thank you all for being on. Have a great rest of your week. Yes, Merry Christmas. If I don't talk to you and see you guys, Merry
Christmas.
Christmas. You too. See ya. Thank you. Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye.